Dear MisterOgyny, I have something to say because we've been raised in a culture that teaches us to take. A culture where the body is viewed as a commodity, making theft synonymous with rape. A violent crime, radiating power and asserting hate. Hate red. That's the color of the dried blood stained beneath nails. They say turn him into a system, but what good is a system that fails? A system favoring those who can buy themselves out of jails, those who can afford all the lawyers and the bails. Only 12% of rape results in arrest, perpetuating on large scale cycles of abuse rather than stopping the males in their fucked up trails. Now allow me to clarify before you judge what I'm saying. I'm not pointing a finger at men, even though it's mostly women who are paying. I'm pointing a finger at the imbalance of power from the superiority of masculinity that has been oppressing women for it seems like infinity. Girls have been judged on whether they still have their virginity, as if virginity is an object subject to being lost, and if it's stolen or misplaced, she'll be the one to face the heavy cost. And since society cares so much about money, let me break this shit down. U.S. insurance companies and the state spend over $8 billion per year, and that's just what the number is around, because someone felt their assertion of dominance was more important than the resulting plastered frown, the resulting doubling of the need for a hospital gown, the resulting quadrupling of the desire to drown, to leave town and never return to life, because now she's not even fitting enough to be a wife, with the chronic pain, difficulty sleeping, eating, breathing, because she's slowly being asphyxiated by a blanket of depression. They say, I hope she learned her lesson, but she'd rather end the slow asphyxiating strife by pulling a kitchen knife. But she's a woman, so the kitchen is where she was born to die. Don't even get me started on gender roles, on the socially constructed lie. So before I digress into an abyss of what seems like hopelessness and futility, allow me to focus in on the breeding ground of rape that has been strategically masked with invisibility. The education facility advertising docility while hiding the virility, infecting its victims with debility, hostility, stealing their stability, alluding that they lack credibility, that the fact that they were there, they were witnesses to their own crimes, still calls for plausibility, despite the less than 3% of cases accounting for falsifiability, while the mass institution's main concern is still reputation and liability. But she is a human being. Doesn't that have any meaning? Not when we value multi-million-dollar football industries over the life of an individual. Capitalism funds the epidemic of athletes as gods immune to repercussions. Meaningless football rituals that are still residual. Head thrashed against the wall right after he spiked her drink with Rophenol. Just because she's wearing high-waisted shorts does not mean she is high and wasted. Does not mean you can treat her like waste. Feel upon her waist. Her body is not a trash receptacle to compress your junk. Seriously, that is so childish. Yes, you can have the top bunk. And that brings me to the fact that it's not just ketamine at the party scene with kitty ears on Halloween. It's committed by acquaintances, hidden daily behind the thick doors of the dorm room. Bystanders see and hear, but all they ever do is assume. So what are we doing about it, you may ask? We're telling women to wear more clothes than they have in the past. Forget the flask. No, you cannot live your life in happiness and peace because your body is still viewed as an object out for lease. And if we purchase a prevention program for women, we just brush the surface. By doing so, we fail to address the less than 8% of college men committing over 90% of the sexual assault. By doing so, we imply that it is the women's fault. So if you actually want to end subordination in a nation fueling shame and humiliation, it's time to stop treating the symptoms rather than eradicating the root cause. This method is too short-term, it's filled with flaws. We need to teach those at a young age prone to exploiting masculinity that a girl being quote-unquote loose is not an excuse to manipulate her body and leave her soul with the bruise. But miss, you are not off the hook. It is not men alone who perpetuate misogyny, just take a look. We call the women whores and sluts when they free their bodies, their boobs, their butts. You tear them down with sharp words that scrape and cut, with dirty looks that punch them in the gut. But you want to know what? We will only see change when we all transform our current view of body and sex as a commodity, something that can be given, bought, sold, stolen, traded, that a woman is not just an asset, not just a pussy vending machine fed crumpled up bills, a male entitlement, but rather into viewing sex as a consensual, a performance, a collaboration. So dear MisterOgyny, I have something to say. I am tired of ineffective laws leaving us with clenched jaws. I believe it is time for us to take it upon ourselves to stop spoon-feeding our progeny this hateful misogyny.
Oh my god.
I think that take was good.
That's amazing. I'm just gonna let you know. I'm gonna put that up tonight.
Ah!